Hey guys, what's up? We are out in my garden today and we're gonna take a look at some tomatoes that we have growing, and they look a little funky, so we're gonna see what's going on with them. Okay, so we have all of our Amish paste tomatoes here, and these ones all look fairly good. Then we get to this little guy right here, and he looks pretty funky. I am not exactly sure what's wrong with it, but we're gonna hopefully get to the bottom of that today. As you can tell on this plant, the overall plant just looks kind of yellowy, light green, doesn't look real vibrant like the plants over here. But then you can also tell, if we get in a little closer, you can see some of the leaves are wilting, yellowing, maybe even a little bit of spotting. So when you have plants, there's all different diseases that they can come up with. Some can be bacterial, fungal, viral, all kinds of different things. So it's our job as a gardener to come up with the correct disease so that we know how to treat it. So I grow somewhere between 20 and 30 tomato plants. And the reason for that is because I preserve all of them so that we can have a harvest that lasts throughout the winter and my family can be fed all year long. So I really don't want that one plant to take out my entire set of plants. So that's why we need to make sure we get this disease under control and make sure that it doesn't spread to any of the other plants surrounding it. We're gonna kind of go at this today kind of like a detective. We're gonna go through, we're gonna look at all of the things that we see on the plant. We're gonna compare that to the other plants so that we know why and how it looks different. And then we're going to then figure out what our disease is and what we need to do with it. So you can see here we have an Amish paste tomato plant, and you can see that the leaves are nice and healthy. There's no spots or anything like that on them. You can see that they are not curling or doing anything of that sort. So we know that this is a nice healthy plant. So then when we go to look at our unhealthy plant, we can know kind of what to look for. I heard somewhere that when they teach people how to find counterfeit money, they show them the real money over and over and over and have them study it very deeply so they know exactly what the real money looks like. And then when they see a fake, they can spot it. And I think kind of the same goes for plants. When we know what a healthy plant looks like, then we know when an unhealthy plant is emerging. So we have a healthy plant over here and we have the unhealthy plant here. So you can see there's a lot of yellowing here versus on this plant. So something that you might think of as when you have yellowing leaves, you think of a lack of nitrogen in the soil. And that could be the case, except that all the plants surrounding it are not yellowing. So I think that we are okay on the nitrogen levels. So I think we can rule that out. Next, we want to look at the types of the leaves that we have going on. So on this plant, it's nice and healthy. The leaves look good. But then you can see on this one, the leaves aren't looking so good. There's some spotting, there's some yellowing, things like that. And so we can see a difference in the leaves there and see that something is going on there. Okay, so we're on the healthy plant that's next to the unhealthy one, and we see some spotting on the leaves here. But what we also see are these little flea beetles right there. That flea beetle, what it'll do is it'll eat little holes in the leaves and it ruins the leaves. And so I'm noticing that kind of all over this plant, this healthy plant, is these little spots. But I'm not exactly sure that that's what's causing the issues with that plant that's kind of dying all over. So we do need to treat the flea beetles, and we will kind of hit that with like a dish soap spray, and we'll go through that a little bit later in this video. Okay, so we'll go back to the unhealthy plant. So we see here, its overall is just kind of yellowy. The leaves are droopy. They're kind of curled, as you can see on this one. They're yellowing, they're browning, things like that. So those are all things that we need to kind of note when we are looking at what is going on with this plant. So we took a look at all of the visual signs that we could see on the plant. The yellowing, the brown spots on the leaves, the yellow spots on the leaves, the overall wilting of the plant, all of that. And so right away, I was kind of like leaning towards the fact that it might just be blight, but I'm not exactly sure because the whole plant is like wilting and starting to die. And so then I was like, well, maybe it's Fusarium wilt, which both of these are all, both are affected from this fungus. And so I'm just not exactly sure what it is. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna call the extension office and get a better read on what exactly is going on. So if you're not familiar with an extension office, it's basically put out through a local college, and it's for your state or your area, and they can tell you all about plants and things like that and diseases and whatnot. So every state in the US has an extension office. In fact, there are almost 3,000 extension offices in the US. And so they can answer all your plant questions, all of your problems or whatever. The extension office is where you want to go. And also if you're having like maybe some deficiencies in your soil, the extension office can also test your soil and tell you what's going on in there. So they basically just want to help you grow plants, and they are they're the place to go. So anyways, we're going to call the extension office and we're going to get a better idea of what's going on. Okay, so there's different ways to take care of those flea beetles. One of them would be to plant kind of a deterrent crop like radishes or Chinese cabbage, and those will be used just as a crop that will take one for the team, and the beetles will eat those instead of your tomatoes and potatoes, hopefully. The other way is to plant things like basil or nasturtiums around the base of your plant, because the smell of those aren't very attractive to the flea beetles. And lastly, something that you can do is you can make a spray. And so that's what we did here, is we made this all natural spray, and I'll put the recipe up here on the screen. But essentially what we've done is we've mixed rubbing alcohol, water, and dish soap, and you're gonna go around and just spray this all over the leaves, and hopefully this will take care of those flea beetles. One other way that you can also get a hold of them is to put talcum powder on the leaves of the plants, and they don't like that either. So those are some helpful tips if you've got flea beetles in your garden. So we are going to spray the plants that are affected by the flea beetles. Now, we're not gonna go crazy because it is the heat of the day and I don't wanna burn the plants. So I'll get just a couple of these down here just to show you kind of what we're doing. We're just going around basically just spraying all around. And I can see flea beetles on these plants, and they are, I can see them kind of jumping off, like they don't like the spray. Smells like rubbing alcohol and Mrs. Meyer's out here, so hopefully this works. So I think we're gonna end this video where it's at. So you have to come back and see what's wrong with this tomato plant. So next time we'll hopefully have an answer for you guys. So until next time, see ya.